Hello, Africa. You're welcome to ETV Ghana's African Women's Voices show. Do you believe in Africa, just like Wiela and Kwesi were singing? Well, I do believe in Africa despite all odds. And I want to believe you've had a positive week. And even if it has not been really positive, you know, we always say on the show that you should just have this positive attitude towards life. That even if it's low, just tell yourself it's going to get better. And you see, before you know it, things will begin to change for the better. And it's also WCW, where we always want people to appreciate the women in their lives, women that they are crushing on, women that are making a difference. Have you been able to talk to that special woman today about how you appreciate her? We still have got time before 12 midnight, so do that right away. Send them a text message or a WhatsApp. Do something just for them to know that you are remembering them today. That is WCW. And this show is always brought to you by very responsible brands that I am so proud of. I feel good about. And first on the list is Chanashito. Chanashito is Ghana's #1 pepper sauce. And you see the packaging, it is on point. The packaging is such that when you present it to anyone, the person would love it and even keep it to put some other things inside of it. The taste also is top notch. If you've not tried any pepper sauce in Ghana, or if you've tried so many of them, I'd want to recommend Chanashito to you. It's also possible to have a side business with Chanashito, especially in these days that we are looking for extra income streams. Pick up her phone number right now at the base of your screen and give her a call, either to taste or to buy or to use as a side hustle. Whichever way you want to experience Chanashito, just give her a call and let her know you found out about her on African Women's Voices show on ETV Ghana. And I'm loving my outfit, always put together by Afariwa Styles. Afariwa ensures I look so good every Wednesday evening, and I really appreciate her. I love my dress and the color, it suits me so well. And what I love about Afariwa Styles is that it's already made. I step in, find what works, and I wear it and I move. However, those of us who also have special fabrics that they would love to sew, don't worry, Afariwa will sort you out. And you're going to kiss goodbye to all those fashion designers that are telling you lies, because Afariwa will not be the type that will tell you, okay, I've finished. And by the time you get there, they've not even cut the fabric. That's not how Afariwa Styles is at all. And for my hair, I want to thank you so much for this braid. It's looking so good on me. Thank you. So every time we start African Women's Voices show, we always want to let you know what's going on within Ghana, across Africa, you know, with black women. What are the positive things happening? How are we contributing to national development? And we put it all together in our 60 seconds update segment. And it's coming right up, after which I get to introduce my guests. So do not go away, do stay tuned for it.
Access Bank Ghana has announced the appointment of its first female board chair, Amasapong Bwewa. She succeeds Mr. Frank Beecham, who served from January 2014 to May 2022. She is an accomplished, resourceful businesswoman with over 25 years of wealth of experience in public affairs and communications positions with several multinational corporations. She attended Wesley Girls High School and University of Ghana, Legon, from where she graduated with a Bachelor of Arts degree in Political Science and French. She also holds an MBA in Strategic Management and Marketing from the Goizueta Business School in Emory University, Atlanta, USA. She has worked with multinational companies such as Coca-Cola as the regional lead for public affairs and communications in North and Equatorial Africa, and with Newmont Mining as the senior director for government relations for the African region. Prior to these roles, she worked at Citigroup in the Global Transaction Services team for the Corporate and Investment Bank division at its headquarters in New York, and also consulted for DFID and UNDP at various points in her career. She is currently the founder and executive chairman of GG&B Partners Brokerage Limited, an insurance brokerage and business advisory company. In the northern region, hundreds of women face abuse and witchcraft accusations by relatives or members of their community. These women are either banished or compelled to leave their communities and move into witch camps after. These camps offer poor living conditions and little hope of a normal life. The women are accused for causing sickness, droughts or fires, cursing a neighbor, or even just appearing in someone's dream. Action Aid has been working in the camps since 2005 to provide basic services such as water, food, shelter and education. In recent years, the focus is also on enabling the women to organize themselves, learn about their rights and fight for improved services and access to social benefits. 3,000 women in the region were living in camps for witchcraft accusation of witchcraft. The victims of this system are not only abused and expelled from their homes, but are also excluded from accessing the means to meet basic physical and social needs. 2 years on after the lynching of Ekwadenta, ETV Ghana's African Women's Voices show delves into the current situation of the Kafaba community and the way forward.
And you're welcome back to ETV Ghana's African Women's Voices show. And tonight, just as we told you, across our social media pages, we are looking at 2 years after the lynching of Ekwadenta. A lot of people probably don't talk about it anymore, but because we are a program that is always amplifying issues around women, we find it very important to focus on this conversation, especially within this week that we are celebrating the second anniversary after the lynching. So I use the word celebrating because you think that, well, it's a sad story. It's a sad story, yes, true. But we always want to champion the woman. Whatever way it came to her, she's a strong woman, and every family member of hers, we really want to say that you should keep being strong. And your mom, your grandmother, your in-law, your sister is somebody that will continue to celebrate as a strong woman. We will not remember her and begin to remember evil things. Ekwadenta, you are a heroine. Wherever you are, African Women's Voices show recognizes and appreciates you as a woman. So within the second year of the lynch, we'd like to find out what the way forward is. How widespread is witchcraft allegation? And what's really happening within our legal system with cases around such? We'll also get the chance to hear from a family member of Ekwadenta for him to make us understand how things are going within the family and how the community is treating them now. We'd like to know about all these things. So please draw closer to your set and follow us through this ride to have a better understanding of where we stand when it comes to witchcraft allegation. And to help us to have this conversation is a very young and dynamic woman from Action Aid. She is not new to our set. We all know her. Ms. Ohiniwa Brown, you're welcome to African Women's Voices show once again.
Hi, Ines. Thank you. Good to be back.
Yes.
This is more like a home to me.
I am so happy to have you because conversations with her are always full of, insightful moments. So tell us, how widespread is witchcraft allegation? We've heard about it, and Ekua was lynched. What is the situation today? How widespread is it?
Great. Thank you so much once again, Eunice, and grateful to your team for bringing me here. So for us at Action Aid, one of the key mission priorities is to address the root causes of violence against women. And so we have been working over the years. We are over 30 years in Ghana since we established in Ghana, basically to look at how we can support women who mostly find themselves in a vulnerable position to address the violence that are perpetuated against them. When it comes to witchcraft accusation, it is not a phenomenon that is peculiar to Ghana. But from a contextual perspective and for the conversation that we're having, let me bring home the conversation and let's look at it from the Ghanaian perspective. Now, this is a practice that people call it a tradition or their custom. But then you realize that any custom or any tradition that is injurious to the mental health or the well-being of any other person is one that can be found wanting when you look at it from a legal perspective. And I'm going to cite some of the issues even from our constitution. When you go to the northern part of the country, that is where you would actually find the practice of witchcraft very endemic. It's more like the COVID pandemic that we faced as a global community. And so it is widespread over there. And it is widespread because a lot of people from that part of town see it as a custom or see it as a tradition. But you ask yourself, why is it that about 90% of the people who are accused of witchcraft are women? Why? I mean, if it is something from a spiritual perspective, are we not supposed to have also men who equally go through such level of violence being perpetuated against them? But if you look at the issues on the ground, you realize that even some of the men, who are very few, I mean, when you look at statistics, when you look at the people who have been engaged, you realize that the men who are even accused of witchcraft sometimes even have the opportunity to be heard, to tell their story, to explain what their position is. But the women are always not given that opportunity. And so this is an entrenched position when it comes to patriarchy. And this is something that we have been talking about over the period, that as a nation, we need to move from a patriarchal system. We need to give women the opportunity to also flourish. And if you go into the communities, some of the women who are accused, some of them are those living in poverty, abject poverty, those who are not educated, those who do not have even family members to support them. These are the women who are already vulnerable, who are accused of witchcraft. And so you ask yourself, why are these the ones? I mean, I don't think that you've ever heard in Ghana that there's any wealthy woman who has ever been accused of witchcraft. Have you ever heard that?
I don't
I mean, if any of those, I would need somebody to educate me if we have ever heard that there is somebody from a very wealthy family who has been publicly accused of witchcraft to the extent that the person has been drawn away or banished from the community in which he or she lives. It is always the ones who are vulnerable. It is always the women who do not have anybody to protect them, who are always pushed into such level of violence. For us at ActionAid, we believe that even though witch camps are seen as a refuge, it is a clear manifestations of the level of gender inequality we find ourselves or we experience in this country. It is also a manifestation of the level of cruelty that we subject women to. Because you find that if you go into these camps, it is not a place that you would want to be. It is not a place that any person who had choice would actually want to subject themselves to such. I was there just 2 months ago, and I cried every single day that I met these women, listened to them. And one of the things that shocked me was the fact that they, even with the level of vulnerability, with the level of abuse they are facing, there's still hope for them. They smile.
Wow.
They dance. I wish I could share a video of myself dancing with some of them. And when I left the camp and I went back to my room, I kept asking myself, even with these people whom I would call being condemned to such a situation, because some of them would stay there forever. Some of them have actually lived in the camp for 30 years. Some of them have lived there for so many years. There is no way they can go back. And it's because of the level of violence that even if the level of rejection, even if they decide to go back to these community, there is no way some of them will be accepted back into the communities.
Society. So when you had this, encounter with them, as you got back home, did you experience any form of nightmares or all those things that really will prove that they are witches?
I recall very well when I got back. I think I was not feeling well, and it was also because of the weather. I changed the environment. And so I called somebody and the person said, yeah, but you've visited a witch camp, I mean an alleged witch camp. So what do you expect? But no. When I engaged them, I felt like I was engaging my grandmother.
Okay.
And one of the things I said to myself was, my grandmother is over 100 years. If my grandmother was from that part of town, I'm very sure by now she would have been pushed into a witch camp. And if you listen to psychologists some of these women, as they grow, we've watched our grandmothers in our homes. Sometimes even the way they behave, you find it a bit not okay or a bit abnormal. But some of them might be showing signs of mental health. You understand? So that is not, for me, the accusation, just the fact that somebody is old does not make the person a witch. So old age is not witchcraft. And I mean, somebody being a grown person does not mean that. In fact, some of the stories when you hear, I mean, some of the things that results in the accusation, when you hear them, you would just marvel.
I'm kind of interested in the,
you will
the
marvel.
stories.
So I recall very well, there was this woman I engaged, and I asked her what brought her there. So apparently she was sacked from her community. And you know, some of the northern parts of the country, the northern towns, it's very close to the OT region. And the OT region is also very close to the borders of Togo.
Okay.
So she was actually banished, and she ended up in Togo. And the level of abuse she went through.
Here in Ghana or
No,
across?
in Togo,
Okay.
across. So the level of abuse she went through, just because, you know, normally when you are banished, so this is what happens. So somebody wakes up, somebody says that, for instance, we are rival. I wake up, you have a child. I don't have a child. And so you wake up and let's say your child has headache. And because I don't have a child,
I accuse
you will
you.
start accusing me that I am, because I don't have a child, I want to kill your child. And that's why your child is going through. And some of the stories are so funny. Somebody can dream and see me in her dream and say that I saw you in my dream, so you're a witch. I recall very well in one of the camps when we had an engagement, one of them said, way back when we're trying to engage them basically to understand the practice, he said that he had experienced it in his home where somebody said he saw a family member in a dream, and the family member was trying, so the person was constantly ill, right? They took the person to the hospital. The doctors, they claim that the doctors couldn't solve the problem, so they came back, and then they met with a Tindana. And then the Tindana basically did some ritual and said that this person was responsible. And it was the same person she claimed she had seen in the dream. So he said, oh, go to the person's room. You would see a bottle with your image in it that is closed, you know. And they went there. They claim that they saw the bottle and
With
saw
her
the
image in
person in it. And then they brought the bottle to the
Tindana.
Tindana. And then when they opened it, something flew out. It was a cockroach that flew out of the bottle. And then immediately they claim that the woman was healed. And so it was the cockroach. The cockroach was actually the person who was being accused. But you see, for us at ActionAid, we do not want to delve into whether or not there is witchcraft. For us, the issue is about the abuse. And anytime you abuse someone, anytime an action or a practice is injurious to an individual, that is where the law comes in. That is where you will be found wanting. And I'm going to cite aspects of the Constitution. And I believe that as a country, every single law or policy that we have is mostly drawn out of what our Constitution says. Now, if you go to Section 26, 2 of the 1992 Constitution, which talks about, I mean, it looks at cultural rights and practices. The 2 says, all customary practices which dehumanize or are injurious to the physical and mental well-being of a person are prohibited. Now, if you go back to Article 272C, which actually lists the functions of the National House of Chiefs. Under the C, it says that the National House of Chiefs shall undertake an evaluation of traditional customs and usage with a view to eliminating those customs and usages that are outmoded and socially harmful. So the justification that this is a tradition, This is a custom of a group of people. The Constitution actually prohibits that, because once you do something that is injurious to the mental health of somebody or the human dignity of an individual, the law needs to deal with you.
Great. I like where we've gotten to in the conversation, because when we go for this particular break, we'll return and we're going to find out from Ohenewa what exactly Action Aid has been able to get out of the whole thing around going to witch camps and helping them, what the achievement has been. And right before then, we'll also get to hear from a family member of Ikuadenta. So just grab some water. When we return, actually grab your Vena. When we return, we'll have that conversation with the family member. Do stay tuned. And you're welcome back to ETV Ghana's African Women's Voices show. Just before we went on the break, I mentioned that we'll be talking to a family member of Ikuadente, the woman who was lynched 2 years ago. And this week is the second anniversary of that incident. And we would like to hear from family member how things have been ever since it happened. So once we get through to him, we would connect to him. So while we wait to get connected to Dominic Maham, who is the son of Ikuadente. Okay, I hear he's online. Hello, good evening, sir.
Evening.
How are you doing today?
I'm doing well.
Awesome. All right, so we would like to express our condolences one more time and ask the Lord to rest your mother's soul. May she rest in peace. Amen.
Thank you very much.
So since this week marks the second anniversary of the incident that happened to your mom, Ikuadente, we would like to find out how the community is looking like right now. What would you say about the community at this moment?
The community at Papa is cool and calm.
It's cool and calm. So the incidences of witchcraft allegation, have you heard any since then?
No.
Okay. So does it feel like people have actually understood that the actions they took were wrong? Are they feeling remorseful? Are they treating your family better? Are they associating with you after this incident?
Yes, they associate with that.
Okay. All right. So has the issue of witchcraft stopped? Or, I mean, are the camps still operational in your area?
So now it has stopped, because now they fear, because the corporates are in their mind. So they fear. Now they don't talk about it.
Okay. Now they don't talk about witchcraft anymore in your community. Okay,
Yes.
so that's why we say your mother is a heroine. It's unfortunate what happened to her, but somehow positive things are happening with what, the outcome. And we are hoping that we're not going to hear about such things happening in your community ever again.
Yeah.
Do you have anything you would like to say to Ghanaians?
What I want to say to Ghanaians is, there's no witchcraft.
Okay.
They say when someone is fooled, they say it's a witch.
Okay.
But there's no witchcraft.
Okay.
So what I'm appealing is, old age is not witchcraft. So the youth, they feel that they don't get money, but they don't want to work. So when someone is old in the village, then they say the old lady is the one who is carrying their progress, which is not true.
Okay.
You work. When you work, God will give you.
Great. So final question, Mr. Maham. What is the status of the case right now? We know it's in court. What's the status? What is the status of the situation in court? It's in court and conversations are going on. So can you let us know what the status is?
But as for KTV, we can't say much about it.
Yeah.
But everything is going on well.
Okay.
Even today, where I went to Tamale, the case was to the witness, the regional investigator, and then the doctor who made the autopsy. They were to appear before the witness box, but our lordship has traveled to Kumasi. So
Okay.
the court couldn't come on.
Okay.
So they said, on August and September, our lordship will go for leave.
Okay.
So it has been adjourned to 24th and 25th of October.
Okay. All right. So we'll also keep in touch and keep finding out what's going on, because we all are very
Okay.
interested in the conversation. And thank you so much for having this time with us. Do enjoy
Thank you
your
very much
evening.
for your consent.
All
We
right.
thank you people. We thank Action Aid very much,
Okay.
because other than that, people will say the case is not on. But since you people you have started talking about it, everybody will hear that the case is still on. So the case is still on. Joseph.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. Good night. Well, he's so thankful to Action Aid for the support that you've been offering. And that links me to the question I said I was going to be asking you, what the achievement has been so far since 2005 that you started operating in this witch camps. Already we have one testimony. Mr. Maham is grateful that your support has, seen them through to this point. So what more can we say Action Aid has achieved?
Yeah. Let me just say a big thank you to my colleagues, especially the regional manager, Esther Boateng, and the team in the Northern region for the great work that you're doing. So when you go to the camps used to be 6. Currently, 2 are closed down, so we're left with 4. However, some of the women are constantly seeking for reintegration. But you bear with me that reintegration is a process.
Yes, it is.
And so there's actually a committee that has been working over the period to ensure that the camps are gradually fade out from the system. But there are some of the communities that will never even accept the women. So earlier I was touching on what the role of the Tindana and then as well as the Magajers as. So when you are accused, you get to the camp, a ritual is performed, and that ritual will determine whether or not you are rightfully accused or you were wrongfully accused. So some of them, after the ritual, the Tindana would say that, oh, you are not a witch, so go back to the community. Some would go back to the community even after the Tindana had pronounced that the person is not a witch, and still the community would say no, or the family would say no. Some of them are even accused by their kids, their children, who would say that we don't want to see you here. So they are forced to live in the camps. Unfortunately, one of the things we observed in our recent visit is that some of the camps, I don't know if the video you showed, there were pictures of the camps.
Yes.
It's not a place anybody would want to live. But even with these women who are not working, right? There was one of the camps that was charging them for the camps they live in. So they're supposed to pay like a rent.
A rent.
And these were camps that were built by NGOs. They were not built by the leaders of the camps. So there's an angle of extortion.
Yeah, because it was for free to them.
Yeah, there's an angle of sexual abuse. So you go to some of the camps where they are being, sexually abused. So
The supposed witches have been abused.
Sexually abused. And the camps are not out of the community. They are within the communities, even though so some of the community members are able to go there. I recall very well, there's one of the camps that actually has, they've been able to put up a school. But because of the brand, the witch brand, the alleged witch brand, people are unable to go there to teach. So the community members now have to volunteer to basically support them to teach the children, because some of them live in the camps with
their
children. And some of them are young girls. I recall very well in one of my engagements with one of the young girls, I asked, are you able to go into the community to engage? She said, no, I can't, because nobody even wants to talk to me.
Because their grandmother is supposedly...
Yes, nobody wants to talk to me. And I asked, are you also an alleged witch? She said, no, I'm not. But because I live here, nobody wants to engage with me. So there's also an associated stigma when it comes to the whole conversation. Now, recently, Shraj worked on a research that looked at the level of depression, and this was actually supported or funded by Crossroads International. And there was also another one that was worked on by Sontaba, who is actually a partner of ActionAid in the Northern region. That also looked at the mental health of these women. And clearly, some of them, because of the level of abuse that they go through, I mean, the whole place is just like you being casted or thrown into jail. I mean, that feeling that comes with it. It's like being put in a certain community that everybody sees you as a certain kind of person.
So they're practically ostracized.
Exactly. So somebody sees you as that kind of person. Nobody wants to engage you. And some of them, even because they need to be economically empowered, when they sell, nobody buys. When you go back to the community, nobody buys. So for us at ActionAid, what we've been doing over the period is to teach these women how to fight for their rights. So you empower them. Because no matter how someone is subjected to an abuse or violence, the only way the person can come up is when the person knows that this is not my place. This is not what I deserve. I'm equally a human being. My dignity is as important as any other person. So I need to fight for myself. So that is what we have been teaching these women, helping them to understand that where they are is not a place that they are supposed to be. It's not a place that they need to accept that this is where I am. Because already, mental health or mental abuse is part of abuse. Just telling somebody, I mean, I just ask myself, so I wake up somebody and one day, assuming I'm an old woman, and my daughter or a family just wake up and say that I'm a witch. I have heard some people actually mention my grandmother, and they say, oh, she's too old because everybody around her is dead and she's still living, so she's a witch, you know. But that is not witchcraft. If you've been blessed to live old, why should anybody? And most of the time, the people who perpetrate these violence, of course, there are women who do that.
Unfortunately, women actually inflicts this level of pain.
Unfortunately,
on fellow women.
Yes, unfortunately, but predominantly, it is done by men. And some of these women, even if you go to their community, some of them are trying to be economically empowered. You know, so they have a business, and then somebody thinks that, oh, my business is not doing well. So once yours is flourishing, you are a witch. And so they start accusing you and throw you off because that's the only way they can also get the customers that you had and then be able to run their business. But I think that as a nation, we need to start. We've had the conversation, but we are not hammering on it enough. I think that even you ask yourself, a lot of the researches that have been conducted on this witchcraft accusation, and sometimes, Eunice, I don't blame people. We live in Accra and we think Accra is Ghana. But you go out into the communities, you watch these women and the level of violence they face each and every day, each and every minute of their lives. Then you start asking yourself, where is the political will to fight some of these things? Why are we as a nation not having a national conversation, systematic approach to help relieve these women of the pain they go through each and every day? Because some of the camps are like this. How do you live in? And
really?
These, I'm telling you.
Like the height.
I'm telling you, they're very short like that. Very, very
so
short.
they don't walk, they kind of maybe...
But you know, because they are
old,
because they are old, and most of them don't have
exactly.
So they're able to live in it, but they don't have an option. They don't have an option. Just this week, I saw in Beijing, in Switzerland, where young people are volunteering their time to serve the elderly in their country. What are we doing in this country? We are rather casting or ostracizing our old women instead of dedicating our time to serve them so that in their old age they can have happiness to go and rest in peace. But it is rather in their old age that we abuse them, we inflict pain on them, and we are not talking about it.
We definitely will have to talk about it. Let's go for this commercial break. When we return, we get to find out how the government is working out, ways to ensure that the human rights abuse that is going on is put to a stop. Do not go away. And you're welcome back to ETV Ghana's African Women's Voices show. Kwame Natando, we've seen your message. He says, Ohiniwa Brown. That's all he had to say. Kwame Natado, thank you so much. And I have a message from MMC Live 2022. It says, come enjoy music, magic and comedy live on one stage. Saturday, 30th July at the Grand Arena. Performing live will be Kiddy, Adina, Clemento Suarez, Kenny Black, and South African magician Regard. Tickets are going for just 100 Ghana cedis for single and 150 for double. So you have to find a way, get somebody to partner with, and then you buy for 150 cedis. I mean, that's smart. And the tickets are available at Airport Shell, Bachana Total, Silverbird Cinemas, Eddie's Pizza, YFM, and Wonder Wings. Buy tickets via Momo with the short code *713 *33 *10H. Once again, *713 *33 *10H. *10#. So MMC Live is powered by Global Media Alliance and it's sponsored by HD Plus, South African Airways, Fun Milk, Scent of Africa by Gandor Cosmetics, Roan Air, Edith's Pizza, for Papa Car Rentals, and Imperial Blue Whiskey. It's supported by Hoopro, Silverbird Cinemas, and Perception Management International. Our wonderful media partners are YFM, MX24 TV, CTFM, Pulse Ghana, Happy FM, ETV Ghana, Daily Guide, BNFT, NYDJ Live, Amel Deborah, Ghana Web, Plus FM, and Radio Universe. You don't want to miss MMC Live. I will be there, and a host of other presenters within the Global Media Alliance group will all be there to have fun with the wonderful artists that will be showing up. So, as we have just about a few minutes to finish today's conversation, I would like to ask Ohiniwa the final question. What are your allies doing? You know, the allies to Action Aid. What are you doing, you know, to see to better situations, you know, in our communities today?
Okay, so like I mentioned, we have the reintegration committee. Action Aid is part of it. We have the likes of Amnesty International, the ACT Foundation. We also have the Regional House of Chiefs, who are also playing a key role. Now they're playing a key role because earlier what I read from the Constitution that shows that they have a key role to play when it comes to outmoded traditional or customary practices that are injurious to the mental well-being of individuals. And then we also have, of course, the Ministry of Gender that's also playing a key role as part of the reintegration committee. Now, I think that when it comes to I like the fact that Dominic mentioned that the process is going on well. We hope that we get justice for Ike Adente. Okay. Now we hope that we get justice for her because it's been one too many. We've lost lives. People, I mean, when you go to some of the camps, some of them don't have arms. Their arms, yeah, their arms are cut off.
People chopped it off.
Yes, they've chopped it off. There was another woman whom they tried to actually kill, and she kept using her hand to block the machete from cutting her neck. And so if you look at her, for instance, her arms are just cut into pieces like that. And she's an old woman, you know. And sometimes you ask yourself, for them to even go through that level of pain and to even survive it tells you that they are just blessed human beings and that it's not their time to die. So we just need a bit of commitment in terms of the legal processes. When somebody is accused, I mean, if you look at the Criminal Offences Act, there were several, if you look at the chapters, there's several sections out of the Criminal Offences Act that people could be prosecuted or can be prosecuted for inflicting harm on other people. We haven't been able to get justice when it comes to this. Look at Ike Adente, it's been 2 years, and the court process is still going on. And so you ask yourself, why? Why is it been 2 years? Are we not supposed to expedite the process so that it serves as a deterrent to other people so that people don't do that? But I mean, it's a court process. We hope that we get the system to run as quickly as possible so that we can have or see justice. I mean, Saturday marks exactly 2 years since this woman was lynched, and it's time for us to get justice. I think that we also need some level of political commitment. If we have the president, the vice president, the first ladies mounting stages and talking against some of these practices, it also adds to the conversation. Sometimes when you hear people say that, oh, you're just talking. No. Rights violation starts with talking, starts with advocacy, starts with campaign. And then you move from one level to the other, then you move to the legal system. And so we believe that we need to start by having prominent people within society speak against these practices. The more you speak against it, the more we orient people to know that this is not just a tradition. This is somebody trying to push patriarchy and having it in a very entrenched position. That is not supposed to be the system where we live in. And let me just say this. Even if you look at our constitution, sometimes even the wording is gender bias, where they'll use his, her. They wouldn't even use her, but they'll use his. And that tells you that even the framers of the constitution, we're not looking at gender equality. So we need to have that conversation. Violence against women is not normal. And we need to get to that point where the women themselves can stand up and say that this is not
enough.
Enough is enough. It is not my place to receive violence just because I'm a woman. You know, so we need to have that political will. We need to have political figures make commitments. I mean, the members of parliament within these communities, what are they doing? Are they talking about it? Are they speaking against it? We need to also have them say something. There's a process where some members of parliament are putting together a bill, basically to see how we can proscribe witchcraft accusation.
That would be good.
In our engagement, we know that whenever a law is enacted, there is a level of resistance. But you can't please everybody. We need to start from somewhere. So if it takes that, we see it to its fruition, we'll be very happy to see that bill. We'll be very happy to see it pass into law so that at least it serves as a deterrent. I mean, there's a lot of existing legal provisions that can be used, but I think that if we have more that can also specifically touch on witchcraft accusation, that would also help us to be able to get people to understand that it is not okay to call somebody a witch. It's not okay to lynch somebody.
Fantastic. You mentioned earlier that there's going to be a vigil on Saturday.
Yes.
In honor of Ikea. So could you just give us quickly the
Great.
brief around it?
Okay, great. So we're having a vigil. And this is also to drum home the conversation around witchcraft accusation. Somebody has asked us, why are we not holding it in Kafaba, where she was lynched? But we believe that this is where the attention is. And so we want to drum home the conversation around the lynching and around generally witchcraft accusation. We need to constantly hammer and remind people that we can't keep quiet as a nation and just think that everything is all right. And so on Saturday, we are having a vigil. We're starting at 6:30 p.m. from Shiashi to the Akramo. It's a very short walk, but the most important thing is the message, the statement that we want to make, and also basically to engage the media and then speak to the issues around witchcraft accusation and the need for us as a nation to pay attention to some of these rights violations.
Great. Ohinewa Brown, thank you so much for joining us on African Women's Voices Show.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, so until we meet again, do enjoy the rest of our interesting lineup for you. Bye-bye.